Hello, welcome to the Connected Soul series. My name is Penny Collins and I will be your host. Today I have the pleasure of introducing you to Anchen. She is a licensed dynamic emotional integration consultant and trainer. She's an instructor at the Empathy Academy. She specializes in working with caregivers and healers and with people who are going through a transition in their lives. She teaches that if we can listen to what our emotions are trying to tell us, that then our emotions become our allies. Welcome. I am so excited to hear from you today. I'm sure all of our guests are as well. Welcome to the Connected Soul series.
Thank you so much.
It's great to have you. Now, I'm sure everyone has the same question. What is a dynamic emotional integration consultant and what do you do?
Yes. Dynamic emotional integration is a year-long training program based on two books. It's based on the work of an author named Carla McLaren, who works with a research-based approach to emotions. Her books are called The Language of Emotions and The Art of Empathy, and they're essentially about not only what your emotions are trying to tell you, they're also handbooks that give you practices for how to work with your emotions and different concepts for understanding your emotions in a different way, and also kind of who you are and how you operate. That's more than just you need 8 hours of sleep a night and 3 meals a day and to go to work every day and provide for your needs. It's a very much more of a holistic approach. And I want to make it clear it's also a secular approach. So it's not spiritual, but it is based on awareness practices.
Okay.
I came to this work, I came to this work because I was a massage therapist. And as a new massage therapist, I was feeling all these emotions and I didn't know what to do with them. I kept picking up stuff from my clients and I didn't realize what I was doing for a long time, but it felt like I was wearing somebody else's clothing.
Wow.
So I finally understood this and I began to look for some information about emotions. And it seemed to me that there just wasn't anything out there that dealt with specific emotions. It just lumped them all together. Emotions are this. When I found Carla's book, The Language of Emotions, it defined 17 different emotions. It gave questions that help you ask, what do I need to change, or what do I need to make right? It gives you questions for each emotion to help you understand what you need to do next.
Oh.
Being able to identify the emotion is great, but then figuring out what to do with it after that can be a challenge. So this book has been a handbook to me, and it has helped me understand that I don't have to take on other people's emotions. That's not my job as a massage therapist. That it's not my job to tell people what they're feeling either. That I've also learned that people hold emotions in their body. I mean, you can just demonstrate this when you've had a stressful day and you start working on your shoulder. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm so tense.
Yeah.
You're tense. Well, you're holding emotions right there. You're holding that stressful meeting where your boss said you didn't do this well enough, and the weird interaction at the water cooler where somebody was gossiping about your friend, and you hold them in your body when you don't have time or the wherewithal to process them and to acknowledge them in that moment. So it's been this process of awareness building, like self-awareness building and skill building, to get to the point where you flow with emotions, where you can treat emotions like water droplets, as if they're a fine rain coming down. And emotions they're always coming up. They arise all the time because they help guide us in our decisions and in what we like and what we don't like in our interactions with people. They define almost every aspect of our lives, yet we don't think of them in that way.
No, we don't.
Right. We think, oh, I'm a very logical person, but your emotions help you make the simplest decisions, such as when you're going to make your next appointment at the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have access to that part of your brain, then making that decision of when to see the doctor is, you don't have a preference. There's no priority for you. So it is a decision that you have a very hard time making, if you're able to make it at all.
Ah. So how do you, like, if we're not having access, is it because we don't like a particular emotion, or we're just not integrated with our emotions in our head, or what is happening there?
You have a great question. I think this is so common, partly because, especially in the United States, men and women are kind of segregated in the emotions that they're allowed to feel, or that are appropriate, right?
Okay.
So as a woman, it is appropriate for me to express happiness, sadness, tears, right? And fear. That's appropriate as a woman, but it's not appropriate for me to express anger.
Right.
And now if I'm a man, it's appropriate for me to be happy and angry, but not sad or fearful. And because we have these weird convoluted ideas about emotions and masculinity or femininity and what's appropriate, we're missing out on the beauty and the information in these other sets of emotions. But we're also kind of forcing the emotions that we are allowed to work with to work overtime. They have to work really hard because they're doing the jobs of the other emotions.
Okay.
So it comes out in really strange ways. So, for example, maybe somebody who feels a lot, but who has been told that she's too emotional, might just turn away and try not to feel it all. Or she might just go to tears at any kind of emotion when she's feeling anything, happiness or sadness or fear or anger, right? Instead of being able to express her righteous anger about some injustice, maybe she would go straight to tears because that's what's appropriate. So our emotions have kind of been co-opted because of what we're told is appropriate in our culture. And what I help you to do is understand what you're really feeling, give it a name, and then you can find out what action you need to take to make it right, so that you're really listening to and responding to your emotions, because your emotions are coming from the deepest part of yourself. They're coming from the things that are most important in you, from your heart, really, from your soul, honestly. And the thing about emotions is that they'll tell you things that you don't necessarily want to hear, oftentimes because the things that they tell you aren't things that we think of as appropriate.
Okay.
So, for example, if I'm in a marriage and one of my values is to stay married, maybe my parents got divorced and I decided I was never going to get divorced, but this marriage really isn't working. Perhaps I'm in an abusive relationship, or we have nothing in common anymore. If I choose to stay in this marriage, I'm going to be really unhappy. But it's my value telling me that I need to stay there. And perhaps it's an outdated value, something that's not current or to where I'm living or to my situation anymore. And I need to reevaluate, reassess what's true for me, what is going to help me live, what is going to help me move forward and allow me to break free of this feeling of being stuck.
Okay. So if you have that moment where you go, okay, I feel this, I feel like in this situation, say the one we were just talking about, I'm not happy in this marriage, but I'm determined, I have this resolve to stay. Then you've got this conflict.
Absolutely.
And how do you, when you're working with people, help them work with that conflict?
Yeah. It's about listening to all of your emotions. Emotions are wonderful. They do not do what you expect them to.
Mm-hmm.
They come up more than one at a time, oftentimes, and they come up at different intensities. And what I help people to do is to listen to that emotion that wants to be heard most, to define what that emotion is.
Okay.
Oh, I'm feeling, so in this situation, this theoretical person might be feeling depression because she's feeling stuck. She might be feeling sadness because there's some things she needs to let go of. She might be feeling grief because this simply is not a relationship that she wants to be in anymore. It's not what it used to be, and it can no longer be that relationship. And when she's able to feel those emotions and acknowledge what they have to say to her, it might be some really hard truths. Mm. Going through the process of grief often is incredibly painful. It's a long process. It can be. And it can also be a process of renewal. Mm-hmm. Once you allow that grief to roll through you, it's almost like you've been through a thunderstorm and everything has been washed. In that space after, there's a spaciousness and potential for possibilities that didn't exist before because you're holding on so tight. There just wasn't room. When you're able to listen to your emotions and acknowledge what they have to say, just give them space to speak. Hear these things, hear these truths about yourself. Then that gives you so much space for knowing what to do next. It's kind of like if you have the option to see all the facts about a situation, and when you don't listen to your emotions or you don't listen to some of your emotions, then you're only like aware of some of the facts.
Right.
You don't have the whole story.
Yeah.
And so how can you go forward with an informed decision if you don't have the whole story? If you only have these 3 things instead of the 6 things that are really important. And so if you only have the 3 things that are important, you keep going in circles. You keep coming back to the same things that you don't want to see. I tend to work with people who have to face hard things. And that's a big part of working with your emotions. I think as Americans, we like things to be comfortable. We like our air-conditioned houses and our cruise-controlled cars and our smartphones that tell us the meaning of serendipity. And we love convenience, but emotions aren't convenient. They're real. And it's this inconvenience, I think, that makes us feel more alive and more capable and stronger in ourselves because we're willing to face the hard things as well as the fun things. And when you're able to welcome all of it with open arms, then everything flows more easily, including the fun emotions like happiness and contentment.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what I'm taking from this is that my emotions are far more fascinating and have far more wisdom than I have honestly given them credit for. I mean, I know I have in some ways, but I find myself being really drawn to want to know more about my emotions. And like you said, we tend to just circle around the happiness, sadness, anger, the ones that, like you said, in our culture, we're allowed to express. And I think you're right. I think most of Western civilization, people who live in Western, countries want comfort. We want things to be easy. We want things to go smoothly. And you're right. We don't like it when it does, but when it doesn't, but you're right. If we had tools, if we had a better understanding of, like, our emotions, they're in every aspect of our lives. I was thinking of all of the different ways you were talking about how we make decisions, and they're based on our emotions. From what time we get out of bed to what we want to have for breakfast to the next job or the next relationship, everything is about our emotions. It really is. Well, I know that I was reading, you have a great blog on something that you call emotion regulation. And I would love it if you would talk a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. Emotion regulation is this wonderful thing that we already do it. All of us already do it. It's essentially what we do. It's an action or a practice that we take to kind of adjust how we feel so that we can get to a place where we are more comfortable. Now, these things that we do, they can be more beneficial or less beneficial. So an example of maybe a more beneficial emotion regulation practice could be taking a walk. Mm-hmm. A less beneficial emotion regulation practice might be obsessively exercising. So it's in moderation, right? It's also, why are you doing this? Are you taking this walk so you can get a little space and kind of sort out your thoughts, sort out your emotions? Or are you taking this walk to run away from how you're feeling and replace it with something else? Both of those examples are emotion regulation practices. Okay. And it's really a matter of, when you have skills to support yourself in listening to your emotions and being able to process what you're hearing so that you can move forward rather than feeling stuck and like you don't have a choice, then emotion regulation practices become much more powerful for you. Mm-hmm. If you're just trying to get away from what you're feeling, then you're never going to get there. You're always going to be feeling something. And if anything, you're going to find a short respite, maybe in disappearing into like Netflix binge watching for a while, which can be great. I totally advocate for binge watching a great show, because how often do you get to do that, honestly? Right. But it also gets you to the point of where you get to feel other emotions maybe that you don't have right now in your life. So if you're going through a hard time, then binge watching some kind of a silly show on Netflix can be such a lovely break. And it can help you remember, oh yeah, this is what it feels like to be relaxed. Mm. I'll get back here someday. So there's value in both of these ways. One thing that I wanted to do today was to offer to take you through a practice. It's an emotion regulation practice. And you probably already do this. You may just not realize. Okay. This is called Comfort Body. And what it's about is helping you to make conscious what you already do to help yourself get comfortable. Now, getting comfortable is something that's really important for you to be able to do, to know what it takes for you to be comfortable. Because when you're comfortable, you're able to relax and downregulate. And that's a really valuable place for being able to process information, process emotions, and also being open to learning new things. So in my courses, this is one of the first skills I always teach people, because it is so essential to know what's important for you to be comfortable. Yes. And one of the things I've also noticed is that sometimes being comfortable is not a good thing. So if you're too comfortable, and like you're in a company meeting or something, you may not pay enough attention. So it's a fine balance, but knowing what it is, making it conscious, is something that can be really helpful so you can adjust according to your situation.
All right.
So let's go ahead and try it out.
Okay.
Okay. So for comfort body, I really invite you to sit down and kind of relax, sit back a little bit. Take a breath. Let yourself sink and settle. Now I'm going to invite you to feel into 3 words. You might like to close your eyes a little bit. I invite you to feel into the word relaxation. How does that affect your body? Is there something that you're noticing you'd like to do to help you feel more relaxed? And take the time to go ahead and do that now. Feel into the word ease. Is there something your body would like you to do so you can feel more at ease? This might mean that you turn off your phone or you close the door. You might adjust your clothing, unbutton your pants maybe if they're too tight, so you can feel more at ease. And this last one is comfort. Feel into the word comfort. What does comfort mean to you? Is there something you can do to feel more comfortable right now? And that is the very simple practice of comfort body. This can be a practice that extends for a very long time, but maybe before you go to bed. Mm-hmm. But it can also be something that you do very quickly before you start a class or before you go into a meeting. Like, okay, what do I need?
Yes. It was lovely because each word had a different sensation for me. And each word also just felt me relax more in my body. And with ease, I just needed to take off my glasses. It was just took me one sort of step more to just relaxing. And then when you said comfort, what came to my mind is being hugged. And so I just gave myself a hug. It was like you said, it was super simple, but very powerful. I felt a distinct difference in each word. Oh, I love it. And you're right. You could make it a longer practice or a shorter practice depending on what your situation is. Like you said, if you're just going into a meeting at work and you just really want to sort of center yourself and feel like you and your emotions are friends here instead of having it being a tug of war of some kind. And that was very powerful. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to mention too that when you were feeling into those words, mm-hmm. you were also harnessing your soft emotions. So emotions come in different intensities. Your softer emotions are the ones you don't think of them as being emotions, but you sat back and relaxed. Mm-hmm. Maybe you took a breath. That mm-hmm. was your soft sadness helping you let go. You probably let go of a little bit of tension there. Maybe yes. you let go of a little anxiety or some other emotion that you're holding on to. Mm-hmm. When you were listening into, okay, what helps me feel more relaxed? What helps me feel more at ease and comfortable? That focus that you're bringing there is your soft fear, your curiosity. And you don't think about fear as being something that you would welcome in when you're relaxing. But your fear is something it is always kind of scanning. It's aware. And it also helps you to focus. So when you are focusing your attention on your body, that's your fear that's helping you do that. And our emotions are wonderful because they have such a range of abilities.
Yeah. I find myself just wanting to learn more about a lot of emotions, not like you said, not the ones that we, our go-to ones, the ones that we tend to circle around all the time, but also to embrace them more. Like I'm just sensing, as you're speaking, this sort of wonderful new world of discovery around emotions that I think all of us could just so relate to, but also just the value of understanding that our emotions are our friends. I think we so tend to judge them or categorize them. These are good, these are bad. And after we've been working today, I just realized how detrimental that is to who we are, our full person, how we walk through life in sort of a fullness every day, because we're so limiting. If something's good or something's bad, we're missing this whole range of possibilities from what our emotions can teach us. And I know that you have I know there's a list a vocabulary list, which is far greater, I think, than most of us, again, realize that there's far more emotions than we certainly allow ourselves to feel, or even understand that they're working in us anyway, and we just need to start listening to them. So tell me a little bit more about the vocabulary list.
Oh, absolutely. The emotional vocabulary list, it lists emotions in different groups. So there's anger, apathy, and hatred, which are listed together, joy, contentment, and happiness. So it's kind of the happinesses, the angers, fears, kind of a thing. So, and then it takes those emotions and it takes a bunch of vocabulary associated with those emotions. I'm going to use anger because it's a really fantastic emotion that we should all work with more consciously.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It divides it into 3 intensities. So here's an example of some soft anger words, soft emotion words for anger. If you are softly angry, you might feel annoyed, apathetic, crabby or cranky, critical, but you might also feel detached, indifferent, irritated, or impatient. So when you are able to pinpoint what you're feeling, so say, for example, in the morning, I'm just noticing something is up. What is going on with me? Why can't I communicate clearly today? I might look at my emotion vocabulary list and first try to figure out which category I'm in. Am I in the anger and hatred, fear? Am I feeling anxious? Am I feeling ashamed of myself? Am I feeling jealous or sad? What is it? What am I feeling here? So identify that first, and then go to the different intensities under each one and say, okay, is it soft, medium, or intense state? So maybe this morning I was annoyed. I got up way too early and I wanted to sleep in because I'm tired and I'm crabby today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm crabby because one of my values is getting good sleep, and I didn't.
Yeah.
But when I can recognize that, I can also recognize, well, there's nothing I can do about it right now, and there are things I can do tonight to do better, but it's not anybody's fault that I woke up too early. So I'm not going to try to take this out on anybody. I might offer up, I don't know, an advance apology. I apologize if I'm crabby today. I just didn't get enough sleep last night, and I'm going to try to not let that affect my performance today.
Right.
But when you're aware of what you're feeling, it's so powerful. it gives you an explanation instead of feeling like your emotions are coming out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to name what you're feeling helps your body and your mind know what to do with it. It's such a huge step. Instead of feeling kind of this amorphous offness sometimes, if you're able to point out what you're feeling, oh, I'm feeling angry and sad and depressed and confused and content all of month. I don't understand it, but okay. And it's because I'm moving and I don't want to move really because I love my house, but I am going to a great new job in a new city and I'm very excited about it. But I really hate to leave everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm feeling all these conflicted emotions. And if I weren't to name those, I might just feel meh.
Right. Yes. Yes. Well, I love that. There's just so much more depth to what is available to us when we listen. I know that, and I'm excited about this. The free gift that you are giving the audience is the emotional vocabulary list. So, and everyone, the link to this is in this email, so you will be able to jump on and grab it. What do you suggest people do? Like, what is a practice that you suggest people do once they have the list?
Mm-hmm. Once they have the list, keep it with you. It is such a great thing to have with you. And if this list comes in a large format, but you can shrink it down or maybe just cut out the ones that you want help with. Mm-hmm. And when first, it just takes building awareness. So when you start to notice that you're feeling something, it might be a physical thing, it might be more of an emotional thing. When you're feeling something, just allow yourself to pause. Give yourself permission to pause and do a little scan. What am I feeling? Mm-hmm. And this list can help jog your memory, right? It can help you think, oh, actually, I think this is contentment. I think I'm actually kind of proud of myself for that presentation I just gave. Yeah. So this makes things more conscious. So you're either able to celebrate more and say, oh, I really do feel content with my performance today. That was excellent. Or you might say, I'm feeling kind of low today. What's fun about this list is that the last page has what we call weasel words on it. And these weasel words are the words that most people use to describe their emotions. They are words like bad or stressed or unhappy, upset, hurt. And usually those words stand in for real emotion words. So one thing you can also do is you can start here at the weasel word list. If you say to yourself at the end of the day, oh, I'm so stressed, take a look at the weasel word list and say, okay, am I angry stressed? Am I guilty stressed? Am I sad stressed? Which stressed am I? So instead of just saying that you're stressed, which is kind of this catch-all phrase for a lot of emotions, defining what you're feeling. And it's been proven in research that when you are able to pinpoint what you're feeling, it's called emotional granularity. When you have bigger vocabulary for what you're feeling, then you're better able to regulate your emotions and essentially handle what you're feeling and respond to it. So there are a number of ways you can work with this list. It's a really fun resource to have. And once you become good at noticing what you're feeling and working with the weasel words, you'll start to hear other people using the weasel words. Right? You'll hear your mom say, oh, I'm so stressed out, or I'm so upset about this event. And you can think, I wonder what she means by that.
I love that. I love that. Well, that sounds fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing that gift. I think people are going to find it really valuable. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for your time today. It was such an amazing, and I just feel like diving in, going, okay, there's so much more I need to learn about working about my emotions and the wisdom that they have for me and for all of us. Yeah. Thank
Thank,
you. Thank
thank you
you.
so much. And I just want to remind you, you already have a lot of wisdom about your emotions. You just need to learn to listen to them.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. I think you're right. I think that's true for most of us. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I know Anchen and I are very grateful that you took the time to be with us. And if you want to learn more about working with Anchen, all of her information is on this page, and the link to the free gift is here as well. So please explore more. And thanks again. Have a great day.
Thank you.